Hello, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is your first time stopping by. Today we are doing a mass market madness. I haven't done these for a little bit, but every once in a while I like to make this video. I like to call it mass market madness because I like naming things because it's fun. In this series, I like to share with you a handful of decks that I have had in my collection for a little bit, have had a chance to work with and get to know, and that I highly, highly recommend. They are affordable decks, they're wonderful, good quality decks, and I like to give them a shout out because there are some wonderful things out in the mass market. I love supporting indie creators, and I spend a lot of time on this channel supporting indie creators, but there are some gems out in the mass market that I don't want y'all to miss. So without further ado, we're going to get into it. I say without further ado, but here's some ado. This cloth, is it not spectacular? Peggy had acquired some gorgeous fabric. This fabric glows in the dark. The moon phases glow in the dark. It's the most breathtaking thing when the lights are out. This fabric glows in the dark. This fabric glows in the dark. It's incredible. They're beautiful. And I'm so sorry because Peggy, who is, by the way, if you don't know, that's my wife. She has an Etsy shop. It is currently on pause at the time I'm filming this because Canada Post, which is our local postal service, is on strike. Nothing is going out in the mail at the moment. So we've got it on pause. And then once the strike is over, there's a good chance there's going to be enough delays in the system that she'll probably just kick the shop back into gear in January. Keep an eye out for it to reopen because this fabric will be showing up across various products as well as other stuff she's been working on in the interim. So there will be new stuff going up in the Etsy shop, just so y'all know. Because I know people are going to ask me about this cloth. Like, I know how it is. I know how y'all are. I love you. I promise I'm not trying to tease you all. It is what it is. But I mean, obviously I got goodies and I want to use them. So here we are. Anyways, let's get into the decks. So first, this is technically a twofer. However, you can buy these decks individually. You can also, as far as I know, still buy them as a set. And it is the Book of Shadows Tarot, the As Above, So Below by our very own Barbara Moore. I say our very own as if I have some claim on Barbara Moore, and I definitely do not. But full disclosure, because I mean, there's bias. I absolutely adore Barbara Moore. I'm a mega fan, and she did write the forward to my book, Unlocking the Tarot, which is out now and possibly out of stock. I'm very sorry. They sold a little quicker than anticipated, but they're coming back into stock at Llewellyn. And therefore, if they run out at retailers, just know that they are going to be restocked. Ask your favorite bookshop. Ask them to bring it in for you. But I'm very proud of this. And Barbara Moore wrote the foreword. See, it says forward by Barbara Moore. So yes, if you're curious if I'm biased, yes, I will always and forever be biased about Barbara Moore, even before she wrote my foreword, because I'm a fan. But still, I absolutely love these decks, and they have been out for a while. So the As Above, So Below came out, no way. This is printed in 2021, but that can't be is that when it first came out? No way. I feel like it had to be out before then. Am I crazy? Okay, well, it says 2021. I'm confident these were out from before then, but I don't know, maybe not. Regardless, it's a 2-deck set, and what I love, somebody was recently asking this of me on my channel. I have a deck, it's a Unicorn Tarot, it's an old one, not the one I made, but a different one, that I like to use to see where spirit is showing up for me in my life, or where deity is showing up in my life more specifically. And I like to use that Unicorn deck for that, and someone, I apologize for forgetting your name, was asking me about non-unicorn things that do the same thing, and this So Below deck actually does that because, let me just zoom us in, because every card in the So Below deck shows a very grounded, sort of earthy, everyday kind of version of that energy, but there's always a spiritual element kind of helping, like a little fairy, right? So like here we see some little fairies kind of in the periphery of this card. So it's never just that we're like floating around on our own doing our earthly things. We also have spiritual support. So this kind of shows you that. So this might be a good alternative for those of you who are curious about a non-unicorn thing that could do the same thing. You also see it in the As Above deck. So I've got the So Below here and the As Above over here. I guess I should have swapped them. But what you'll notice about these decks when you work with them is that one of them really grounds the energy of that card, again, in like daily life. And the other deck really kind of instead elevates the energy to a more spiritual place. And these both have, I would say, arguably a pretty Wiccan style bent to them, witchy bent to them, in that sort of like, I feel like this takes me into a Wicca place for sure, at least internally, like mentally. into that idea. Right here we have an initiation card for the judgment card. And then over here for the Ace of Pentacles, we've got this like working with stones kind of thing. And so you can see the illustration style is different across both decks, but that's intentional. One has this sort of ethereal kind of digital feel where it's very kind of glowy, a lot of light. This one has a very like almost colored pencil kind of grounded feel. I don't know if that's the actual medium, but it's got this like kind of the medium of the art even feels more grounded in the So Below deck. Whereas, and I just love that. I mean, they aren't meant to look like the same art. They're not at all. They're supposed to show you what it looks like this as above, higher plane energy looks like compared to the grounded So Below energy. And I think it's really, really great. And I love reading with these decks together, like in the opposite way. Let me just do it the way that I actually read it. So I usually will pull a card for the As Above and pull a different card for the So Below from their respective decks. And it's so good. I truly love it. I truly love it. It really gives a lot of meaning, but I would say if I had to pick my favorite of these two, it's actually the So Below. And if you've been looking for a deck that has that kind of feeling of everyday life with a little magical or spiritual assist, then this one feels really, really good. It's not quite as like diverse in the types of people that I personally tend to prefer, but I don't get too thrown by that as I'm working with the deck. They just, I don't know, they're so fun. But I've pretty much used them almost exclusively as a pair. Still, if you like more modern decks or you like decks that kind of bring us into daily life, but do that in a non-jarring way, I think you'd really, really especially love this one. But they're both really fun. And the guidebook, so when you get them as a set, you get, I don't know what you get if you get them individually. You may get like a little white book or something. I'm not sure. These are published by Lo Scarabeo, distributed by Llewellyn. But when you go into the guidebook, you literally have a section for As Above, and then you have a section for So Below. So you have everything covered in the guidebook. And it's a good guidebook. It's not crazy, like unwieldy, like it's not massive, but you get all the information you need. I mean, 2 different energies or ways of looking at the cards. It's really fun to play with these. And I don't think I've shouted them out in a Mass Market Madness before, but I think they're really good. And I really enjoy having them in my collection. So I keep these together in a bag because I use them together. But again, I think you can still get them individually. So I will have these linked for you down below. Okay, I didn't mean to put 2 Barbara Moore decks in this, but I did because I haven't talked about this one in Mass Market Madness before. If you are a fan of Alice in Wonderland, don't pass up the Wonderland, Tarot in Wonderland, I think is what it's called. I always forget the actual name of the deck because the guidebooks are always named a little different. This is Barbara Moore's Alice in Wonderland deck, illustrated by Eugene Smith. I passed this up for a long time because I'll be honest, the illustrations were not my favorite. But I have to tell you, when I got this in and saw what a chunk the guidebook was, I was so excited. And I was not disappointed because the guidebook, and we can see the art here too, but I'll talk about the cards. The guidebook, obviously you get full size, full page illustrations, but you also get information on the story and where this card is placed in relation to the story, like what is happening in the art, how it ties into the story. There are quotes from the Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass books in here. There are keywords, and there's a section called Down the Rabbit Hole for every card that tells you what the card means in a reading. But you get a good amount of info, and it is definitely the most meaty and substantial Llewellyn guidebook that I've ever owned. Most of the time, they're fairly consistent with how much information you get for every card, and this one, you get more than that. So typically you would get a single page and then another page, and I feel like we're getting a 3rd page for every card, which I think is where some of the extra thickness of the book is coming from. And then also, there is a section with some spreads in the back. And in the beginning, a little bit about obviously how to read the cards, but I thought there was also, I might be making this up. No, I guess that's it. How to read the cards in an intro. I'm just telling you, it's really, really, really good. And I do love the Alice in Wonderland stories. But I really, 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 really enjoy working with this deck. And I think the choices made in the cards to represent the things that happen in the Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass books are really well chosen. And when they're not an actual scene from the stories, which most of the time they are, but when they're not, there's a strong thematic link between the stories and what's happening in the card that you can explore in the guidebook. And Barbara does a great job making a case for how the image represents the energy of the stories and the characters. And so I never feel pulled out of the Alice in Wonderland universe. This is not just a Rider-Waite-Smith clone with Alice in Wonderland characters in it. It is what is happening in the card is linked to how it's described in the guidebook. And that doesn't always happen, you know? And so I really, really enjoy this a lot. And I can't believe I waited as long as I did, because I absolutely love it. And it is not as predictable as you might think. So really well done. Look at the little pony in the, oh my gosh, I love it so much. Look, it's Humpty Dumpty in all of his pieces. Anyway, it's really good. And if you are a fan of Alice in Wonderland and you like Alice decks, this is a good one and shouldn't be passed up, I don't think. I would much rather have this than say there's the, oh, I think it's called the Wonderland Tarot, or there's the one in a tin. But it's very much just basically, it's just themed after the story, but it doesn't link. It doesn't link the same way. This is so good. This is so good. All right, moving away from Barbara Moore. I'm so sorry. That was unintentional. I normally would have been more careful, but whatever. It is what it is. This one is another deck, and I feel like Lo Scarabeo is getting some love from me this particular round. And I often don't gel with Lo Scarabeo decks, but oh my gosh, the Earth Woman Tarot is so stinking good. As Above, So Below was Lo Scarabeo. This is Lo Scarabeo, and I've got one more coming up that's also Lo Scarabeo. So I think that's a great sign. This is such a freaking good deck. I have done a whole deep dive on this deck, and so keep your eyes out for that if it's not up on the channel already. I can't remember at this particular moment if I published it yet. Did I finish editing it? I don't know. I think so. But oh my gosh, it's so, so good. I love the tones of this. Like, look at this freaking death card. It goes into such a beautiful direction. It feels very earthy and grounded, and like the cardstock it's a borderless image, but just with like this hint of a border kind of illustrated onto the card, like over top of the artwork. It's matte. It's got this tonal quality to it. This would also look great next to, I'm trying to think of what, there's an Oracle deck by the same artist who is Tarn Ellis, I think it is. Yeah, Tarn Ellis. There is an Oracle deck that Tarn has also created that I haven't worked with the Oracle at the time I'm filming this yet because mine has a flaw and it's bugging me. But it was too late to return it, so I don't know. I'm just kind of sitting on it. But I love this tarot, though. I really do. It feels really magical. It feels really grounded. I just freaking love it. Like, I love this image. It's so good. It's such a good lover's card. Love, 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 love. I mean, I adore it. Oh. If you're looking for something perfect for, like, I don't know, the darker half of the year, if you're looking for a feminine deck to work with, but one that is still sort of deeply tuned into nature and the wilds, oh man, this is so good. But we still have some masculine energy. I mean, like, they just literally just made Jason Momoa the King of Cups. Like, it's great. But there we go. Oh my gosh, look at the Gaia card for the world. Oh, she's so beautiful. I just love this. I love everything about it. It's so good. It's a wonderful reader. It's very easy to read. The guidebook's really well done. And, you know, a lot of us got, like, used to Lo Scarabeo decks having a little white book with multiple languages, so you only get, like, some keywords. But that's really changing. You get, like, a full paragraph, like quite a lengthy paragraph for every card in here, including the minor arcana. And it's about half and half. So you get, what they've done is the English part of the guidebook now is about half the guidebook and is much more substantial. And then the other languages still get something in their own language, but those are much shorter and smaller. So I think what they're trying to do, and maybe they're doing two different versions. I don't know what the story is with all of that, but I know that we're getting more substantial entries now in the guidebooks, and I love it. So that is the Earth Woman Tarot, and oh man, it's so, 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 so good. Like, do not sleep on this one if you're interested. The box is even like kind of linen. It's wonderful. I love it so much. Okay, this next one is a no-brainer, and I've talked about this deck 8,000 times on the channel, so I swear I'm not trying to cheat. But this wasn't a mass market deck for a long time, and now it is. And I also recently modified mine, so I wanted to talk about it. So this is the This Might Hurt Tarot. This is the mass market edition. However, I apologize, I don't have the straight mass market edition. This is technically the special edition, but the only difference, I believe, between this version I'm showing you now and the actual one you get on like Amazon or whatever, or from the publisher Liminal 11 right now, is that this one has gilded edges and a bonus card. So outside of the gilded edges and the bonus card, mine's in order right now. Outside of that, this should be the same as the mass market edition. Mine has a certificate of authenticity because it's the special edition. But the card stock, the guidebook, the box, everything's like the same as the mass market edition. Again, mine just has foiled edges because it was the special. But I promise it's the same otherwise as the mass market. So I have this. I also have 2 different indie versions of this deck. This one I got really excited about because, first of all, they did an amazing job on the mass market guidebook. The mass market guidebook is, in my view, better than the indie. The indie has all the same information, but it was a black and white book. We had black and white thumbnail images, I think. And it's possible that the entries and the cards are also just a little bit longer, maybe, than they were in the indie. But it's really beautiful. It's full color. So really nice guidebook now with the mass market edition. Now I wrote the word unlocked on mine because I did add my unlocking the tarot keywords on my copy. So this is my unlocked version of this deck. So I have my unmarked version, my indie version that I use, but this is now my marked unlocked version. So I really love this. Now this is based on my Unlocking the Tarot book that I showed earlier in this video, but that's where I get, that's what my keywords are kind of based on, is that process of writing that book and sort of solidifying what my favorite keywords are, how I want to handle the court cards, all of that kind of stuff. But this is such a freaking solid deck. If you want a deck that is really essentially a Rider-Waite-Smith clone, but really grounded in modern life and maybe a little bit less intimidating as what am I trying to say? Less intimidating than less of their religious iconography. Like the Hierophant still has a bit of a religious bent. I love this card. I love what it represents. I love exploring its energy, but sometimes we can be a little bit put off by some of the classic RWS Judgment. Obviously here we have oh gosh, Anubis. I'm always really bad at this. I always forget. The dude weighing the heart and the feather. I don't know. Anyway, it's Egyptian instead of the more classic stuff, which can be great for people who get kind of put off by that imagery. It's really, 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 really good. And I love it. And I actually really like glossy cardstock for personal use a lot. It has glare. So sometimes it's annoying to use on camera, but in general, in my personal life, I really enjoy glossy cards. So that doesn't bug me at all. And it's just a really, really solid deck that I think is totally a good purchase. And I think it's one of those that if you can scoop it up mass market and it's affordable, I don't think you'll regret this purchase if you enjoy this kind of deck, especially if you like decks with a bit of a modern spin. You will see things like motorcycles and other modern things in the deck, but I really, really love it. And this is a workhorse for me. It's been in my top 10 decks of all time for years, ever since I got the first indie version. It's really good. So I love that this is available mass market now. Also, somebody give me the scoop. I don't know what happened, but there is a This Might Hurt Lenormand deck that when I go on Amazon, it says it's already released, but it's just unavailable. Did it come out and it's stocked out and it hasn't gotten reprinted? Has it just not ever come out? Does anybody actually own it? It's supposed to come out mass market. If anybody knows the behind the scenes information on This Might Hurt Lenormand, let me know because I would love to scoop that up. Anyway, next up is another mass market deck, and it is a Lenormand deck, funny enough, segue. This was such a great purchase, and I'm so freaking glad that I bought this. This is the Grand Tableau Lenormand by Lo Scarabeo, and I paid $13 Canadian, I think. Maybe US, but I think it was around $13. And what a freaking steal. It is such a beautiful, classic little Lenormand deck. If you just want a really good go-to, classic Lenormand, I don't know how you define classic, but for me, this is what I was looking for. I wanted the card insets. I wanted the more old-fashioned, I always forget how to say that, historical imagery. So this is based on a version, I forget which one, maybe it'll tell me in the book. Hold on. This is based on, it's talking about how the Lenormand came about. I don't think it's going to tell me. If you look, there's a few versions that have this same art, and I think this actual art might be in the public domain, maybe. And this is just a version that Lo Scarabeo put together using that art. I'm not 100% sure, but I've seen this symbol on other decks. So I think somebody who knows better about Lenormand can probably tell us. But in any case, it's the perfect size. It's like a little bridge-sized deck. The imagery is exactly what I want for a Lenormand, for a classic, like I said, Lenormand deck. It's so good. So if you just want a really good one that looks like this, it doesn't have card titles on it, only numbers, which of course, that's funny because when I was looking for this, I saw 2 different versions. One said it was the Spanish version, and that's the one I actually bought because it was, for some reason, it was $5 cheaper, but there's no writing on the cards. So I didn't care which version I got, and the guidebook still has English in it. So I don't know what makes it the Spanish version, but that's what I did. And I saved some money. And it was the same thing because there's no writing on the cards. So yeah. Anyway, I am so happy with this little deck, and mine's in order because I've been referencing it for my Let's Learn Lenormand series that I'm doing here on the channel. So with that in mind, it's been just so great. It's so great, and it was so inexpensive. And so again, if you just want a really good little Lenormand to study with or to work with, this is such a good one. I love it. It's kind of like having a Rider-Waite-Smith tarot in my collection. Now I have like a really good, like sort of classic Lenormand in my collection, and it did not break the bank. I love the size and quality of the cards. I love the little sturdy box it comes in. Like, this was just a great purchase. So I wanted to tell you all about it. And finally, a mass market Oracle deck that I think not enough people talk about. I feel like it got talked about when it came out, and then it kind of fell off everybody's radar. And I came to this deck later than the hype, I guess. And now that I'm super into it, nobody's talking about it. So I'm bringing it back out to show y'all and remind y'all that it's out and it's good and you should pick it up if you're into it. This is the Lantern Oracle, and this is by Angelina Mirabito, who is a PhD, and it is illustrated by Yuli Alejo. Oh my gosh. There's something about the image used on the cover, I think, that gives the wrong idea of what this book is about. I don't know how to describe what I mean by that, but I think that happens because holy cow, look at this thing. First of all, this is a very effective deck if you want to go into some of the more tricky aspects of self-worth work, of personal growth work, of shadow work. The themes explored in this deck are very powerful. They're very punchy. If you are drawn to decks like the Wisdom of the Shadow and the Wisdom of the Divine Feminine, this is right up there, and it works just as well as those decks, but it is in the mass market. It's Blue Angel, so it's on the lovely buttery matte laminated cardstock that they have been using lately. It feels really high quality. And what you get is you get this gorgeous, I mean, breathtaking artwork that's very, very detailed, with a title. So here we have Inner Life. And then underneath that, there is enough information for you to really know what this card is talking to you about. So here in Inner Life, it says, your inner life is a garden to be cultivated. Here we have Metamorphosis. Power and strength lie within our surrender to change. Women supporting women. Together we can transcend our individual limitations. Look at this artwork. Like, this would look beautiful next to decks like the Slow Tarot. I don't own that one, but it would look beautiful next to it. Responding, not reacting. The only control we have is in how we respond to the hand we are dealt. Broken dreams. Once you can accept or only you can accept or reject your dreams. Confusion. Growth hurts, heals, and harnesses a way through the uncertainty. Like, really powerful messages. Spirit self. Be who you are as you are. I mean, the themes are so good. Home. May your body be where a harmonious balance of love, strength, light, and pleasure lives. And there's like so many different types of people in this deck, so it's such a wide age range. False beliefs. I mean, come on. Accountability. These are strong, powerful themes. Distorted desire, radical honesty, distorted perceptions, weeping wound. Like, it's punchy. Like, this is, if you want a deck that goes to the dark places, the shadowy places, the tricky places, if you want a deck that's going to challenge you, this is the one. This is the one for sure. It's really, really good. So the cards themselves work very, very well on their own. And then also the guidebook is so good. And if we look at, real quick, the bio, where is it? Of the creator. Here we go. The author, Angelina Mirabito. Angelina lives in Melbourne and loves walking meditations along the beach, botanical gardens, and any nature trails that involve a creek, river, or lake. Her PhD was on the therapeutic value of creative writing. Art, story, and symbolism are her bliss, as are the worlds the Oracle and Tarot open into. Empowering others is a core value and motive that Angelina seeks to achieve by illuminating and supporting the ways story, writing, and art can be used as a tool for self-directed healing, self-discovery, alignment, and growth. Her website is writingforwellbeing.com.au. And you feel that in the book. Like, if you like decks like Dreams of Gaia, because the guidebook is just so good at going into like sort of like that selfhood, you will love the Lantern Oracle. But again, it's one of those decks that I think when you see it on its face, also how perfect is this bag match? When you see it on its face, you're like, I don't know, man, is this what I need right now? But this one totally is. It's so good. And yeah, don't sleep on this one for sure. Well, that was the latest in my Mass Market Madness series. I hope you enjoyed this. As always, share your favorites from this list down below. If any speak to you, if you've been curious about any of them, or if this video was helpful, I would love to hear that feedback. As always, thank you so much for hanging out with me. And an extra big thank you goes out to my Unicorn Fam channel members. Thank you so much for supporting my work here on and off YouTube. It really makes such a difference. And for all of you watching, I appreciate you so much. Be sure and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Until next time, may your magic always shine from the inside out. Bye.